I'm happy to speak on this bill here this evening. The bill makes several key provisions. The Broadcasting Amendment Bill 2019 to enable the industry regulator, the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland (BAI), to impose and/or reduce and in some cases exempt from payment of the BAI broadcasting levy by certain broadcasters for new services. To provide for part funding of the BAI from TV licence receipts to a maximum of 50% of its funding, with the intention of reducing the existing broadcasting levy burden on all broadcasters. Number 3, to allow the BAI to accrue a level of working capital to meet its operational requirements. It's a very interesting expression, a very interesting statement. To provide flexibility to the BAI, Broadcasting Authority of Ireland, in how it charges the broadcasting levy, and to introduce a new broadcasting funding scheme administered by the BAI to provide a bursary grant scheme for professional journalists working in certain sound broadcasters at local and community level. And that's, I suppose, the one item of this bill that I'm most intrigued by and inclined to most support, because that's what it should be. If we have to inspire and promote creative, young journalists and people in the colleges to come out and go into, that have studied journalism, go into journalism, we must have some kind of incentives for them to be able to sustain themselves and indeed to enhance and promote, what goes on in community life, because it's all about community, as far as I'm concerned, and community has been forgotten about by successive governments and by the institution of the state, and everything has been removed away from the community. And without the communities, we'll be a very, very poor place, Minister, and without the people in the communities that make those communities tick. They're not waiting for handouts from the state. They are the enablers and they are the enthusiasts, and that they nurture and they support, all things local. And this is not all about Dublin 4 and stopping at the M50. There's a lot of Ireland and a lot of good people outside of that. That yourself, Minister, you came to Clonmala, the Vale of Honey, for your Bancala some long time ago, and you should know more about rural Ireland than others. The last point is something that is absolutely critical. As I said, I fully support the work of the local and community radios as an important voice in our national debates, but for the local radios. And we have our hurricane supposed to be coming over us tonight here, and certainly I welcome the newfound engagement of the National Emergency Group and warning people, and that's very, very welcome. They have the expertise and they have all the different scientific measurements and information from the Met and everything else advising them. But supposing it does arrive and it has catastrophic effects, who locally is going to be the conveyors and indeed the communication systems of the damage and of people and the outages and what expected times back? It won't be RTE, won't be any national body, it will be the community radios and the local radios. And in my case, Tip FM and indeed Tip Midwest. And across the border from it will be WLR. They will be on the ground. They will be providing the service. Because we'll see if your reports, if Dublin gets hit hard, we won't get a look in the news, Tipperary, any place else, because it's all about Dublin. We've seen that time and time again when the dollar flooded here 30 years ago, because banner headlines from morning to night. We could be washed away and blown away in Tipperary, and our team mightn't even know about it. And I want that for you, and I want to salute retired Damien Tiernan and his camera crews different times, and the South East region reporter who did sterling work over the years, and keeping his at least fighting. But he struggled and he fought, and the studio was closed and merged into the WIT, and we put up with that as well. And now we have Conor Keane has replaced him. But they found it harder and harder and harder. Damien Tiernan did, Conor's only new in the job, to get stories and input that he gone out and so diligently reported on and met the people and looked after them and was embraced and engaged by the people and wanted and did stories and filed reports. But they fell off the conveyor belt in RTE. for whatever reason, but local news and important issues to the people in Atlee, Curl, Kayla, the people of Anryan and the people of Costa Nero, Tipperdown and Hess. They're as important as the people of Dublin 4 Minister. Never forget that. Because at your peril you'll forget it, and you have forgotten it. And your government have forgotten it, and don't support the people in rural Ireland. And we don't want that much support, but we want to be left alone to live, and live in freedom, and have a modicum of free press and free reporting and impartial journalism. Not the organs of the state, public service broadcasters, out there attacking and demonising the people of rural Ireland, making a mockery and a skit of them. That's what has happened so many times. So as I said, it's seen in the context of how media ownership in this country is organised and supported. And if you take the most recent incident, Minister, where we had the farmers were driven to distraction, the beef farmers. Beef plan was set up because of monopolies in the beef industry. Desperate not. That's been mushrooming and growing and expanding for the last 40 years. Céige bliana cost. And getting away with it and whatever. And governments successive governments standing idly by. And then this time when farmers were driven to distraction, not because they wanted to be on pickets, not because they wanted to upset the workers in the factories, because they wanted to do an expose there. And I'm still waiting for RT investigators to do a proper expose on the price of a bullock or a heifer when they go into the factory, and what the farmer gets, what the producer gets, what the factory gets, and what the supermarkets get. And it's very important. It's very important. I'm getting side messages here now from a kind of a pilot station. I say they have enough of a say. Fianna Fáil have, and they had their say. So I don't know what he's saying to me here, Deputy Dooley, but I know they're cutting from the same cloth as yourself, Minister. And you're giant at the hip. Your confidence supply, and so without interruption, if I could, because he's distracted me plenty of time to talk, and I saw whether your party leader. I'm not. But see, I'm not fighting any interruptions. Nobody else interrupt me. I'm not. I'm just saying that. That I saw where Micheál Martin has said he fully supports this household charge broadcasting. So they know even before they go into court, before you change places, confidence supply, before it goes this way to that way, Tweedledum or Tweedledee, you're all one and idem. But no, I certainly phoned RT a number of times to come and broadcast and cover the reasons and talk to the women and the children and their husbands and grandparents that were making their pint outside the factory gates. But no, I wasn't interested. Oh, Fran McNulty covers that. But Fran got to care one day, caught an Eastgate one day, certainly. But no, it wasn't covered properly. Because I know why. Can I continue without commentary from...
No comments from apologies.
Thank you. Because he's distracting me. If he wants to debate with me any day, I'll debate with him. But I'm talking to the Minister and to this legislation.
And maybe if whoever wants to talk, you can talk to all of them through the chair.
Yeah. No. It's through the Minister I'm talking to.
You can talk through the chair.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's through the chair. Of course, I respect the chair. Of course I do. But I'm just saying, without interruption, if you don't mind. I mean, but no. Because we all know why. And the same with the national print media, but we're not talking about them here tonight because they're not included. Because he who pays the piper calls the tune and fortune in this country. And we couldn't. We see open the Sunday papers, you see the acres of ads by the big businesses, whether they be Tesco's or whether they be the Duns or whether they be whatever they are, Aldi or whatever, Little or whatever you have in yourself. And indeed, the MII, too powerful. We've allowed these people to get too powerful and too close to political parties, and political parties too close to them. And we know the story goes on, it goes round and round. You scratch my back and I scratch yours. So, as I said, Minister, it's timely that this legislation will come forward, but like Deputy Sherlock, I'm a bit distracted and confused as to why, when you had Micheál Martin, and I read it on a statement supporting this new household charge, and this bill in your legislation you haven't addressed it at all. And you're saying that it will take 5 years to implement it. That's for one reason. And that reason is you probably have decided a date with your confidence and supply if the pipe doesn't rupture any one of these days soon, when the election is going to be, and you want to get over the fact. Even though Deputy Martin was in favour of it, like he's in favour of most other things you've done. He stands up here in shadowboxing, all right, telling them he's not in favour of this, not in favour of that. We had it last week with the removal of our Garda headquarters from Tipperary, and Deputy Cahill was opposing it, as he would do from Tullis himself, and rightly so. But Deputy Martin was saying, you know, he's in favour of this policy, and Deputy Jim O'Callaghan, just a spokesperson. So, I mean, we're playing a game here of a tricky to hoop. But look, the people are out there, and educated electors, and they see what's going on. To go back to my own local radios.
Listen.
I'm not saying a word. I'm addressing the chair.
You're having a conversation on the side with Deputy.
Only when he comments. I don't know what he's saying. Without it.
Even if he coughs, you think he's interrupting the
No.
Please continue.
No, I say he got the flu vaccine. He's all right. Don't worry.
Let's act this out as parliamentarians and
I'm trying to.
and concentrate on the actual debate.
I'm trying to.
Testing amendment ballot 29.
And I appeal to you, Chair, and you're always fair. That's kind of going to
That's my
allow me to
problem,
be
I'm too
without
fair,
interruption,
thanks.
without being. I don't know. Comments being made. He's only 4 feet away from me. Please.
A real lad.
Yes, good man, good. As I said, I want to say that when we had the snowstorm last year and other times, I want to salute Tip FM, and now retired, and actually she's a Clare woman, so my deputy colleague on the right would be Trudy Waters, who is now retired and gone, still working freelance, but has done an excellent job on reporting the news and the view, above all the feelings and the hindrances and the accessibility problems and the food and service problems that they had. They are the people, of the people, by the people, and they report from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock at night. And indeed, Tip Midwest, Joe Price, Pat Murphy, the news, and all those people, and many more backroom staff. And now we've new head of news, Angela, and I wish her welcome from the Carlow direction. So they go out then and they look into communities and what's going on in the communities and what community events. Across a broad spectrum, whether it's Imaniac, whether it's Clehepel, whether it's Rinka, Forna Rinka said, whether it's Cana, whether it's down your way by our Aim or the Wire, every whole week without fail in a Paroshta in Tipperdown, has no Tipperdown, here in Tipperdown, Hui, and he's living, listening and giving exposure to the people in those areas for what they do and what culture they want to create and stimulate and how they have existed, and on star, especially the history and the culture and heritage. So important, otherwise we'll lose it. And they do such tremendous work. And I want to see money ring-fenced here from licence fee or whatever this legislation. I don't see enough of it. There's options here to support those local and regional stations. And indeed, they come up here once a year and we all have a big hoo-ha-ha, meet them in the AV room, listen to them and take a photo shoot. And they were here only a few weeks ago. But we need to support them, put our money where our mouth is. They are the lifeblood of the community. In Athley, Cornwall, they are the people who listen and give advice to those people out there in the communities and the villages and the townlands, up in the mountains and down in the lowlands. And when there's flooding our crises and when our crises, and we had last week in my own town in Clonmala, we had a march about mental health. They were the only people who covered it. RT weren't interested in the mental health problems in Tipperary or covering it. Not at all. They have more, I won't use the word sexy, but they have more different things that they want to produce and talk about. And I'm calling out RT here tonight, Minister, and you're the Minister in watch, for the failures and the failings and ending up in such debt problems. And there are many good people who worked in RT. And I've named Damien Tiernan, and I named Conor Kane, and I also want to name Mattie McGrath, who was here with us for years and went so fast from all our sites, and I wish her well, wherever she is. But we have programmes on there, and they're doing nothing, only make the mockery of rural Ireland from morning to night. And we have journalists there on six-figure sums and more. And they're only treating with disdain the people of rural Ireland. And when Deputies Healy Reyes and myself and Michael Collins and others speak here, they're only agora at us, laughing at us, mocking us. But I will remind you, Minister, and RT if they're watching, we are elected by the people of our constituency for the time being. And I say the time being. And it's only the time being, because we have to face an election and will be returned, or if not, we'll accept the vice of the ballot box. But the disdain that they have, and the way that they demonise the people of rural Ireland, and they're doing it at the moment with the coursing, and with the greyhound racing. They did it last week with the beef industry. But they'd have big long faces and long noses and okras if they hadn't beef to eat, and there wasn't steak on the menu as well. They might be a different story. So that's very short-sighted and very, very neglectful of people of rural Ireland. All the people of rural Ireland want is to be left alone, to do what we want to do, well, to express our feelings, whether it be in religion, as Christians, or whether it be in the Gaelic language, as a Gael goes, agus na Rinca, Cayley, agus Set, agus Shanish Gaelta, Roddy Marshin. That's all we want to do. Not be demonised by people who are on savage pay. Savage pay. And some of them went off to other stations abroad and were encouraged back with over $500,000, of an income to come back, inducements as well, and everything else. And other deputies said as well, they're in on C2s and on construction or sectors here that they allow them to be self-employed to evade taxes. This all needs to be exposed, and why won't they come out and expose what's going on in big business and the cartels and what's going on in the beef industry when they should be exposing it? And I'm calling here now on the record of this House that RT, and I've called on them already to come out and do a proper investigation. RT investigates, and they've done some tremendous RT investigates, and I salute them. And the most recent one was to carry on open the borders in Cavan and what's happening with the employees in the farm and Queen industries, and that is savagery. Savagery and nothing else, and I salute them on what they've done there and expose that, and many other exposes they've done. But I criticise them on the expose they had done. They don't have to go back 16 years to China and other places for old film to come up with a contrived attack on the greyhound industry. That's what it was, a contrived and totally biased attack on a sporting industry that's out there. If there are some, and there are a minority who abuse dogs, they have no truck. I have no truck for them. I support them, and it's a scandal. But I don't believe there's any dogs ever put into boiling water here, or any dogs from Ireland put into disgusting programme. It was 10 or 12-year-old footage. And then we find out that researchers on the programme are related to other people. That's not fair journalism. That is an attack on rural Ireland, and a proud tradition that we have of greyhound racing. And there's so many hundreds of jobs involved in this, thousands of jobs, and a spin-off. Because remember, Minister, every man or woman or boy or girl that has a dog has to have a kennel, has to have a trailer and a box, have veterinarian, have tackle, and have every other kind of treatments. And they love their animals, and they want to be able to pursue their sports. And we don't need the national broadcasters to come out and do a sabotage job on them, a hit job on them, just at the behest of a few, or a small minority of people who are faceless in the main, and many of them are even from this country, and have an issue with this. Have an issue with the barbarity of greyhounds following a dummy hare around the track. My goodness, it's so sad. And there's so many other issues with the homeless in Dublin and homeless children. The figures that come out today about homeless children, and they suppose need to be done on that. But they have to be held to account if they produce untruths. But how can you tackle them? I myself was set up on prime time one night. Came up to meet Shane Ross. I came up to meet Conor Faulkner. And then I found out I had some other person on that had a uninterrupted attack on me because of my views on rural Ireland, and going back to repeal of the 8th Amendment. And the way they behaved in the repeal of the 8th Amendment was nothing short of scurrilous and biased and disgusting. Honest people that had a view, entitled to hold their view in a democracy, were demonised and undermined and characterised and caricatured in a disgraceful way by RTE. Nothing short of disgraceful. Morning to night we had it, repeal the 8th. Every other programme. Where's the balance? We talk about balance. Where is the balance? There was no balance whatsoever. Only their agenda, the Liberal agenda, and the way they want to change with funding from George Soros from abroad, and a tax on anything that's Christian. Mentioned about Christian, we saw what happened recently in County Galway town when a colleague of ours mentioned the word Christian. God, he's demonised if he came out of outer space. What is wrong with our Christian values? We had them, they stood us well all over the decades, and now to be demonised by a national broadcaster. So we need fair play. And we need a minister, and I don't expect it from you, Minister, that's going to go in here and bring him out and hold him accountable, and to be fair play to the ordinary people of Ireland and the citizens of Ireland who pay their way and pay their taxes. Go after the spongers, certainly, they won't pay their licences, fine, but don't threaten every household with a tax that you can't collect. And I never advocated don't pay for water, but I would advocate people not to pay the RT licence while they're so distorted and so disdainful of anything to do with Christians, and to do with, they won't investigate what goes on, the persecution of Christians in the Middle East by ISIS, and what the persecution of minority Muslim religions and the other sects as well. We need to have balance here, not all just wall-to-wall blanket television attacking the people, respectful people of rural Ireland and their rural pursuits, and indeed anything that's bad about it. So listen, I want to see support, Minister, for our local radios, who are answerable and accountable to the people and cover the people, and we've nurtured many good journalists and they've supported many politicians and many other groups and supported them and let them have their freedom of expression. We're meant to be in a democracy, not a one that's pulled and dragged aside by the moguls in the meat industry, by the moguls in the press, by the Tesco's and by all the other moguls that are out there, and to hell with the ordinary people who pay the piper. So it's time this legislation was meaningful legislation. I'm almost finished, and I'm Tommy Quick now. And have respect for the ordinary citizens and put back the power to the people. Go on, Marcus.
I don't have